glad you're with us on Conquering Retirement. Brad Johansen along with Lance Gilman, Blake King, Northern Alliance Financial. It is always good to be back with you guys. We good?
Doing great.
Excellent. It's a day in the studio. Where does the time fly?
Goes by so fast.
Lance loves being in the studio. And
I do. I like
you
it.
do love being in the studio. We love helping you with your retirement. The idea is, how do we make it more simple with things that are so difficult to understand and trying to figure this out? Because most of us would kind of like to retire just once. Let's do it right the first time and be done with it. Yeah, guys, I want to lead into this by saying there are so many things we just simply don't know, leading us into mistakes that we don't know we're making because we don't know the rules. So I want to lead into how do we avoid some of the mistakes, if we can run through some of the list. Mistake number one, you guys don't understand the Secure Act 2.0, do you? Brad, what are you talking about? That Secure Act, what was the Secure Act 1? We don't even know that things changed in this, so lead me into this, Blake. Secure Act 2.0, what could I be not understanding that could lead into some of my mistakes with that?
Probably the biggest change that was made under the Secure Act 2.0, where there's a lot of confusion, is the required minimum distribution age. So the required minimum distribution age, basically, it was 70, then 70 and a half, then 72, then 72 and a half.
But yeah, the government likes to change things.
It's weird, you know?
And we're not stopping at 73.
No, it's actually increasing to 75 in 2033. So that basically says, hey, once you reach a certain age, you need to start withdrawing funds out of your qualified accounts. And if you don't do that, you get assessed a penalty. But that's always been the moving target and misconception, is people are like, oh, I need to start pulling money out at 72. It's like, no, actually at 73, we can talk about what that will look like, but it's a moving target.
So in a moving target, when things change, we're not reading bills, Lance.
No, I'm not reading bills.
We're not going through all of this stuff to understand the rules. Why is it important, even in those changes of the rules that the government tries to throw on us all the time, to have an expert to say, here's why this changed, here's what it means to you?
Yeah, the crazy thing is that the government can change stuff and does change stuff. And most of the time when the government changes stuff, they're not reading the bill.
Yeah.
You know, they just...
And they're not doing it necessarily to benefit us.
No, it's like, okay, well, we'll just do that. Who developed a RMD that would be scheduled for when you're 70 and a half years old? Like when you're a kid, you're like, I'm 3 and a half, because you want to because you're almost 4.
Right.
70 and a half, like, you know when your birthday is, but when are your birthday and a half?
Let's make it as
Let's
difficult
just make it as comical as possible.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so it gets a little bit crazy. The interesting thing, when they actually passed Secure Act Part 1 and Secure Act Part 2, kind of was like back to back, boom, boom. It changed from 70 and a half to 72, now 73, going to 75.
Yeah.
But the point of the matter is, that's when the government arbitrarily has determined that you must start taking money out of your qualified accounts. Why?
Because you haven't paid taxes on it yet.
Exactly. So they can tax that money. That's what they want to do. But that doesn't mean that the government's plan is the best plan for you.
Oh, no kidding. Here's what the government has planned for you. So I'm going to put this up, because the guys that put this together as a calculator. It is naftaxtest.com. What are you qualified for? More taxes, because you have not paid taxes on this. So if you're heading into that space of RMDs and understanding that I haven't paid taxes on this, go to NAFtax. You can scan the QR code here on your screen. What will it do? You put the money in, very user-friendly, so that you can go in and put the money in that has been deferred, mainly your 400s, right? Your 401ks, your 457s. This will give you an idea of where Uncle Sam wants to take money from you now, later, and next generation, and the strategies that you could use. I'll leave this up for a moment as you go into this. Penalties for RMDs, and now missing this, even when the government changed the targets on this. What are the penalties now, because they've moved these as well?
Yes, currently the penalty is 25%. So you have a brief window of, you have a little bit of grace and forgiveness in the year in which you turn 73. What they say is, hey, you just turned 73. This concept of required minimum distributions is new to you. We'll give you till April 1st following the year you turn 73. But keep in mind, what that also does is if you delay it till April 1st, you're also going to need to take another distribution within the same year to satisfy your RMD by December 31st.
Yeah.
Right? So depending on your situation and whether or not you're on top of it, taking 2 RMDs in 1 year could maybe put you into a higher tax bracket. Maybe it's now making you subject to IRMA or increased Medicare premiums. And the unfortunate thing about it is the liability is on you as the individual. Even though you may work with a financial professional, the liability is still on you. So what we do at Northern Alliance Financial is we have systems and processes in place to ensure that you're taking your RMD in the right amount of time within these certain deadlines. And if you maybe missed it by a couple $100, we're going to be following up with you. Say, hey, we need to withdraw $100 more so you don't get that penalty.
Yeah. Okay. Understanding that rule. I don't need my RMDs. Government doesn't care. You're going to take this out. So next mistake. Is there a mistake that people don't explore Roth conversions when I'm taking out this stuff that I don't necessarily need? Maybe even in the understanding that I do need part of this, but I'm moving forward in retirement. What's the mistake on not exploring that?
A lot of times people, they don't have Roths because when Roths came out, it wasn't part of the equation with their 401k plans. And then they retired and they didn't have any Roths. So what is the Roth? Well, the Roth is the chassis that is the taxed never chassis. So that is the most efficient financial tool that's available anywhere, right? Because once your money is in there, even the gains are never taxed, ever. Not only for you, but for the next generation. So it becomes a legacy planning tool as well. But we don't just have to wait until we get to the RMD point to start thinking about Roth conversions.
All right, talk about that.
We can think about that right now because the tax rates right now are the lowest they've been in about 40 years due to the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, which was supposed to sunset in December of 2025, but it was just extended indefinitely by the current administration. And so what does that mean? It means the tax rates are as low as they've been for 40 years. So we don't need to wait till we're 73 to start thinking about doing the conversions. Let's do them now, Brad.
Because you know the rules the way they are right now.
And they're low.
And they're advantageous to you.
Correct.
All right.
So if we can take a certain amount of money, whatever that is, and convert some of your money that's in this tax deferred bucket and put it into the Roth, keeping you within the same marginal tax rate, and we do that for consecutive multiple years, we can take a large chunk of this money that's put off to be taxed in the future and actually remove it and get it into the Roth in the tax never bucket.
Here's the argument then. People, yeah, I get it. And they're going to change and they're going to do it again. I don't want to pay taxes now. Nobody wants to pay taxes now or later. The thing is, you're going to have to pay taxes. The push is when you have the rules and they're advantageous to you, this is when we need to start exploring. And you've always said this, Blake, it may not be for everybody, but the understanding that it is an advantageous time for you to do it, why don't we do it now? Okay, all right. Yeah. Let's look at that and scan the QR code. This is for you to have an understanding of where you are. And when you have an understanding, I always say this, I apologize. You can't unsee the number that Uncle Sam wants from you. But you can see the number on the other side that says, here's the strategies that we may use. And it may be worth talking about. And that's when you want to call 877-241-7430. Let's put together a plan for you so that maybe we have a better understanding. Do Roth conversions work for you? Do we need to move forward with something right now? Why wait any longer? Let's make the call for a complete written financial plan for you at 877-241-7430. For those of you who come into the office, the book is yours as well. Lance has put together Conquering Retirement. Let's conquer your retirement the way you want it to go. 877-241-7430. We're back after this.
Our team at Northern Alliance is very diverse in terms of the services that we offer.
We do take a team-based approach.
We carry multiple licenses so that clients can do everything within the Northern Alliance financial team.
If it has anything to do with retirement, that's what we specialize in.
Budget planning, tax considerations, Social Security strategies, risk management, long-term care, Medicare, health planning, as well as legal and estate planning.
We really are a one-stop shop.
There's Lance, Gilman, Peter Hansen, Jeremy Barnard, myself. We do have a staff that is great.
In Maine, we have multiple locations to cover the vast array of the state.
You can come in and have a conversation in person. And a lot of people are looking for these days. Things after COVID have changed to more Zoom, phone call sort of things. And we'll do those things, but we appreciate and would rather have you come in person and have a conversation face to face like this.
We're pretty approachable, and we're going to listen to you. We're going to try to determine what your needs, your aspirations, those goals are, and then we're going to do everything that we possibly can to help you meet those goals.
It's lighthearted, it's carefree. We laugh like crazy. An atmosphere that I don't think is common in a lot of other practices.
We were talking about how well the team is bonding together, how similarly we all think in that what we do, we want to actually make a difference.
Average, everyday people helping average, everyday people.
We truly do put the client first.
Our mantra has been, when you take care of people, people take care of you.
So glad you're with us on Conquering Retirement. Brad Johansen with Lance Gilman, Blake King, talking about some of the mistakes that you may make in retirement. And a lot of them are simply because of ignorance, and I apologize, but the government doesn't care whether you're ignorant. So education is kind of what we do here on Conquering Retirement. Blake, I go into the mistake of, do I have too many retirement accounts? And it's not I've amassed too much money. It's what's the mistake of having too many retirement accounts?
There's several concerns surrounding too many retirement accounts. Number one is, let's just say you're in a married household and you've been doing it yourself, right? But primarily your finances have been taken care of by one individual, and you've got money at Fidelity.
Which is fairly common, right?
Fairly common, yeah, relatively common. You got money at Fidelity, Vanguard, Charles Schwab, maybe even E-Trade, right? And you've got all of these different accounts, tax structures, all of those things. The thing is when you're looking at all of your different statements, you kind of have to make sure that you have all your ducks in a row. And it's really easy for just a statement to get misplaced or for an account to be forgotten. So by having money in all these different accounts at different custodians, you're basically trying to scramble to make sure, hey, all of your RMDs are taken care of. Are the beneficiaries listed accurately on all of your accounts? In surrounding RMDs, did you take an RMD from each different custodian if you have an IRA or a 401k from all these different things? So it just becomes extremely convoluted and complex when you're trying to juggle all those things. And at the end of the day, the way I share things with clients is that retirement is peace of mind. Right? Like the people who
should be,
right?
That's the goal.
Yeah. And the people that have the most successful retirement are the ones who do have peace of mind. So even if the concept of consolidating gives you an added value of peace of mind, that in and of itself is priceless, in my opinion.
There are tax consequences again, and so I'm going to put this back up for you because I think having the tools is very beneficial for you. So naftaxtest.com, scan the QR code to find out what Uncle Sam has. We say this all the time. If you don't have a plan, Uncle Sam's got one for you. This next mistake, Lance, not rolling 401ks or 403bs or TSP plans into personal IRAs. Tell me about that.
Yeah, a lot of people basically don't do anything when they depart an employer. So let's say you worked for an employer when you first started working. You were 25 years old, you had a job, then you moved. And so 5 years, now you have another job. And so what happens is you were contributing to each one of these plans. And all of a sudden, as Blake was saying before, you might have 10, 12 different accounts. Well, what's the risk associated with any of these accounts? Who's looking at these accounts? No one.
In many cases, no one, right?
No, almost all the time, no one. Almost all the time, no one. And you might get your statement and you get that statement in the mail, but a lot of times what they're doing in today's world is the default is all the statements are going electronic. So what happens if you all of a sudden change your email account? Now these statements are going out. You're not looking at it. The plan's not looking at it. They're no longer contributing to any of these things. What's the sense of maintaining them in those accounts? There is none. So what we typically try to do is once you get to the grand age of 59 and a half, which is not that old really, but that's when most plans actually allow you for the first time to move those funds out without any penalty and get them into an IRA in your name. Now, when we consolidate those plans, it's going back to what Blake was saying before, giving you the peace of mind, simplifying your life, Brad, because then we can look at this and say, listen, we had 12 different accounts. They were all over the place in terms of risk and allocation. Beneficiaries were not where you wanted them to be. And now we've got them all in one place. We'll allocate them appropriately and we'll ensure that you do have the correct designations for all your beneficiaries. And that's going to do what? It's going to simplify your life and give you that peace of mind that we were talking about earlier.
I like saying cleaning up the junk drawer, don't I? Yeah, I do this again, but on the rollovers, do I have to do it the right way? Are there tax implications on rollovers?
You do have to do it the right way because inside of your plan, whether you may be aware or not, you may have a pre-tax bucket. You may have a Roth bucket. Then you may also have an after-tax bucket. And you maybe didn't know where your money was going to just because of your contribution rates. Once you max out a certain contribution rate, all of those additional contributions have to go either into the Roth or the after-tax bucket. And so if you don't handle those rollovers accurately, you may be exposed to some specific tax consequences that you may not be aware of just because you didn't know you had 3 different buckets of money inside of one account, right? Okay. So by working with us, we're able to identify like, hey, this is a pre-tax, this is Roth, this is after-tax, this needs to go to this type of account, this needs to go to this type of account. All of these transfers are a non-taxable event because we handled it correctly.
All right. You mentioned beneficiaries before, and it's almost like an afterthought. Well, I know where I want the money to go. They know where I want my money to go. And yet, if we're not designating beneficiaries on each things, what's the problem with that?
The problem is that if we don't designate a beneficiary on an account, then that account has to go through the probate process to determine where those funds are going to go. And that may not be where you want them to go because you're gone. And you didn't put a beneficiary on the account. Now the probate process, the state now gets to determine where those funds go. And again, that may not be what you wanted, Brad. That may not be what you wanted at all. And so by designating the beneficiary, guess what? It bypasses the complete probate process and you're guaranteed that those funds will go to that individual you want without going through the legal process. That is huge, going back to cleaning out the junk drawer, simplifying things, and giving you peace of mind.
And peace of mind is what you're after. I apologize, I may not be giving you peace of mind with naftaxtest.com, but it is understanding what your numbers are so that you can do something about it. Let's make a call to 877-241-7430 so that we can put together a complimentary written financial plan. If the numbers are bugging you out of your head, let's put them back in place to gain some peace of mind of understanding how we correct some of the mistakes that we're not even sure that we're making. 877-241-7430. Let's put a plan together for you. Make the call now. More mistakes, more answers and solutions when we come back.
As a good saver, you've been putting away money during your working years. Studies find that the biggest fear of retirees is running out of money. Market volatility isn't just the downward movement of stock prices, it's the size and frequency of change. The more dramatic the ups and downs, the higher the volatility. This can put savers who are newly retired or a few years away from being retired at greater risk. Today's generation of retirees is not receiving traditional pensions as our parents or grandparents did. Instead, we have retirement accounts such as 401ks or 403bs. These accounts typically expose your money to market risk. The last thing you want right before retirement is to lose a portion of the money you need for income. But how do you turn these accounts into a retirement income? Is it safe to keep all your retirement money sitting in the stock market? The last thing you want is to lose a portion of the money you need for income due to market loss. By working with a financial professional, you can learn how to turn a portion of your savings into an income stream for life and income for the life of your spouse if you're married. We all have moments in our lives when we wish we had taken action sooner. Don't let procrastination reign on your retirement parade. Act now before it's too late. Please call our office to set up your no-cost, no-obligation retirement income review today.
Glad you're with us. Conquering Retirement. Brad Johansen with Lance and Blake, Northern Alliance Financial. We're talking about the mistakes that you may make in retirement that we can kind of maybe take a look at out in advance and understand and correct before they happen. It is having the expert in place. Our portfolio, we've said it many times, Lance. You throw it out and people go, that's my plan. Blake, I want to get to that on portfolio. What's the danger or mistake of not having a balanced portfolio heading into retirement?
There's really some significant dangers surrounding that concept of not having a balanced portfolio. Let's think about the progression to get to the solution. So when you're young, you save, grow, grow, grow. I want great market returns. But as you're shifting into retirement, you need to start generating income from that portfolio, right? Well, what if you are in 100% growth tech stocks that don't pay dividends, right? And the market starts experiencing a sell-off. Well, you don't have dividends to rely on for income. You now have depreciating tech stocks, which you're selling at losses, right? No one wants to make sales at a loss.
No.
Right? So you need to have a balanced portfolio, and that balanced portfolio may be just a combination of stocks and bonds. Maybe you're utilizing stocks, bonds, and some form of pension type of annuity or some type of safe growth-focused type of annuity. And when you're not properly allocated, you may be overexposing yourself to too much market risk. Like, let's just say you have a 100% stock portfolio and the market drops. You have nowhere to run, nowhere to hide, and you have to wait for that recovery to take place in order for you to even feel remotely comfortable. So by having a well-balanced portfolio, utilizing many different investment solutions and strategies, that simplifies the ride, makes it feel better, gives you more peace of mind because your losses can't or won't be nearly as significant.
That's talking about chasing higher returns as well. So I want to move to maybe not having that contingency plan, risk mitigation that we're talking. How do we get to that point, and how is this different now than what we were doing in the accumulation phase?
I think it's all part of this essentially comprehensive process that we want to do as we build out a financial plan.
Yeah.
We need to think about what's going to happen down the road, and most people don't. They don't think, okay, well, at some point in time, I'm going to check out of the planet. I don't know when that is, right? We're not dealing the cards on that equation. But when I do, I want to make sure that my spouse is taken care of.
So that everybody knows.
What's that?
So that everybody knows.
Yeah.
Within the plan.
Within the plan. Like, what happens if I'm gone? It's going to show exactly what happens in that contingency situation where I am gone. One of the income sources is now missing. What happens with the people that remain? That's part of a comprehensive, inclusive financial plan that we want to build out because we want to leave no stone unturned, Brad, when we build this out. Because again, what we're looking for is financial peace of mind. And so part of that is to say, okay, what happens when one spouse is gone, or if one spouse is gone? We need a plan for that. It's part of the plan. What happens if one spouse, God forbid, is in a long-term care environment. How are we going to pay for that? How are we going to deal with that? 7 out of 10 people that are over the age of 65 are going to need some form of long-term care before they pass. It needs to be documented in the plan, Brad. Otherwise, basically, we're just leaving it to chance. And that's not a plan.
Yeah. And many of you have advisors and say, well, I watch this program because you guys say some different things than my advisor. And you'll be asked, well, when did you speak to him last? I really haven't talked a whole lot, but I know that I'm on the right path, or at least I think that, which takes me, Blake, to why would I get a second opinion at this point, which is all the time what you're offering at Northern Alliance. We'll do it for free. Come in and just give you a checkup to find out whether this works.
Yeah, a really good analogy that I like to use when talking with people or doing our seminars that we host all across the state, right, is think of when you're in the accumulation phase and you're working with a financial advisor, maybe consider them like your primary care physician, right? But when you start shifting into retirement, us as retirement distribution strategists, investment advisors, risk mitigators, we're kind of more of a specialist, like a cardiologist, right?
Yes.
And so maybe at that point in time, you need to speak with a more specified type of professional to meet what's going on right now in your life, rather than just going to the primary care physician and say, hey, do all these preventative things. Great, that's going to work out just fine. But now issues are starting to come up and you're like, man, I should really speak to a specialist about this, right?
Yeah.
That makes sense to me personally.
It makes complete sense. You need a specialist at this point to put the whole thing together and say, I only want to do this once. I don't want to make all the mistakes. I don't understand where I'm heading. At Northern Alliance, they've been doing this for hundreds, thousands of people. If you'd like a specialist who has perspective that is going to make your retirement and yours alone just perfect the way you want it, 877-241-7430. Let's put together a complimentary written financial plan that includes it all. Grateful for your time here. We can't wait to see you in the office. And right back here next time on Conquering Retirement.